Theo Rodriguez here. In today's video, we're going to be going over the benefits and detriments of specific training. So for us as trickers, what's specific training? Well, it's anything that has to do with tricking. So you could be doing trampoline drills for twisting or variations. You could be doing slow kicks, fast kicks for developing your kicking. You could be doing any kind of b-boy moves for ground movement or dance or whatever it is, whatever is dependent upon your style. And tricking itself, combos, swings, or even if you can take it to doing specific weighted exercises that are beneficial or that have very similar movement patterns to tricking, like one-legged deadlifts. Now, the first benefit that comes to my mind when I think of specific training is your time, right? Time is valuable. And so you're going to be spending a whole lot of time training tricking. And so you're going to be able to really spend that time doing what you want to do and less time not doing what you want to do, right? So you'll get all that time and benefit training your tricking, and then if you don't want to do the other stuff, then don't, no harm, no foul. There's nothing wrong with it. Because it's not a priority for you, and priorities are what matter, right? Your time is valuable. You get more time doing the things that you want to do, and you don't have to spend as much time doing the things you don't want to do. So, and also outside of that, you also get time to do, like, if other than tricking, you get to read if you're a reader, play video games, watch TV, whatever it is, right? You're going to get time to do that instead of doing something else that you don't want to do. Now, number 2 is going to be, excuse me. Number 2 is that you're going to get better. Who knew, right? Who knew that if you actually practice something, you'll get better at it? But because you're going to be dedicating a specific and a fairly large amount of time, I'm assuming, for tricking, you will get better at it, right? Now, you might get exponentially better, or you might have a slow grow. It just depends. But you will get better. It's just how the body works. Once it's done something for a certain amount of time, it's going to be starting to get into a groove, and it's going to be like, yep, okay, I know how this feels, I know what this is, I know what we're supposed to be doing, blah, 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 as opposed to when you first started, your body has no idea what it's doing, and you're just flinging yourself around everywhere. And even with me, whenever you thought you threw a nice kick, but instead your leg just kind of flails a little bit, and you look like an idiot. Well, if you practice that more often, guess what? At some point, your flail is going to be a knife at some point. So, more time, you get better, and then the next thing that I like to say is kind of in relation to getting better is that you're going to have more recovery time between sessions, or it's going to take less time to recover because your body already has these patterns established. The next time you go in, it may not be as rough for you as it was before. You'll be less sore, you'll understand more, you'll be able to do the moves that you want to do, and then now that you have it down, you'll be like, okay, now I can move on and do something else. I can work on something else. And then, so then you take that day off, or you have a lighter training day, and then the next day you're ready to go hard again, right? You just get more recovery time, and you're more easily able to recover from your specific training because you've been training it so much that the body finally adapts and is saying like, oh, hey, yep, you've done this before, boom, just get it out of the way, we got it, boom, it's locked in, there you go. So now these are my 3 top benefits that I like to think of for specific training, but now I'll go ahead and move on to what I think are some of the detriments to only training specifically. Alright, so for 3 detriments for specific training. First one that I like to think of is that you are not going to be able to develop your weaknesses as much as you would like. And I don't mean weaknesses as in specific training techniques. I mean weaknesses as in if you don't feel powerful in your tricks, that maybe you're able to go for a whole entire session but for some reason your power just isn't there, and it hasn't been there for since you started, or since you like have reached some sort of plateau, and now you just like there's no power behind it. You're just like, I just can't break this barrier, you know. So because you'll be foregoing other methods of training that might help develop those areas, you might just have and be just stuck with your weaknesses until you find your body finds its way to get out of its rut. So just like that, right? So like I said, or if you are in the middle of a 2-hour session, but halfway through in your first hour, you've already been burnt out. Whether it's you've been just throwing down on your hardest tricks and now you just can't push as hard, or maybe you've been doing maybe extra long combos and things kind of draw you out. You don't have like the cardio or the aerobic ability to be able to go for that whole 2-hour session. And you're just like, man, like now I just feel like I'm just wasting this whole hour of training just because I can't do anything. So, as I said before, right, foregoing other methods of training might just leave you stuck in this sort of weakness. Now, the second thing that I like to talk about will be burnout and fatigue. And so, because the thing is that sports, not just tricking, are very asymmetrical. They're very unilateral, meaning that, like, for example, baseball, pitchers tend to have, obviously, an arm they prefer to throw with. Batters tend to have a side they like to swing their bat on. And you hear, especially in baseball, right, that always they have shoulder problems because they just, throwing, like upwards of 100 balls per game. And that takes a lot out of a person's shoulder doing it that many times. Similar things for tricking, right? If you do touchdown rise every single session on that one shoulder, you're just cranking it as hard as you can, coming over the top, landing on it, doing whatever. At some point, right? Or maybe not even at some point, you just kind of like feel always achy in that shoulder. It always kind of feels like a little weird. And then you have to spend like extra time warming it up and things like that. And it just always kind of feels achy and weird. Well, you just have some fatigue. And same thing, if you only specifically twist to a side, at some point, maybe your twisting isn't on point because it's just, even though you develop your twisting well, you've just used those muscles so much then, and never giving yourself like any kind of like other resting time or any kind of other training method, that at some point they kind of just burn out. And it's not that they'll never be back to their former twisting glory. It's just that they need a little bit of time, or they need something else to help kind of like stimulate recovery. And so again, with burnout, maybe you've only been tricking and you just keep tricking for like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And then after a point in time, you just kind of get bored with it. You're like, man, like I've only been training. And it becomes especially a little bit worse if you have hit a plateau and you can't seem to break it. Then it feels even more bad, because then you're just kind of like, man, I've just been stuck at the same place for like a month or two. I can't seem to get over it, and I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. So, having either taking a rest week or rest month or doing some other kind of training might be beneficial. And now, the final thing that I like to say is, like, because of life happens, things take place. You may not be able to get in all of your daily training. So maybe you have to cover for somebody at work. Something happens, can't make open gym. Open gym's only open like twice a week, Monday or Friday, and you had to miss a Monday. So now, and obviously you were working the whole entire day, so you couldn't get in a grass session or whatever. But maybe if you had like a workout gym membership, you could have gone and maybe get in some training there and not have to worry about it. And you at least got something out of that day instead of just being like, well, whatever, who cares? I didn't get to train that day. And it becomes especially rough if you're in a position where you don't really have a whole lot of gym access. So really getting that gym access is kind of crucial. All right. But if you had incorporated, having other methods, maybe you would have been able to get in some daily training, or you pull an Andy Lee and just train at that gym. I don't know how well they'll react to you doing flips and stuff, but hey, if he can do it, you could probably do it too. So, real quickly, go over my 3 benefits, 3 detriments. Time, right? More time doing what you want, less time doing what you don't want. Number 2, you will get better. You'll either get better exponentially or you'll get better bit by bit, but you will get better just because that's how the body adapts to change. More recovery time. You'll be able to, once your body finds its groove, you'll be spending less time doing the things that were once hard for you, and now you can move on to harder things, or camera data, but I'm still going. Alright, recovery, and then, so weakness, right? Might have weaknesses, may not work sometimes because you have your weaknesses. Burnout, fatigue, you're doing something for so long that your body just wears itself out. Daily training, sometimes life happens, things happen, you don't get to do what you want to do. Part 2 will be up tomorrow where I talk about non-specific training again, benefits, detriments. Hope you'll like this, follow, subscribe, things like that. Stomp tricking, please subscribe, whatever. Follow me on Instagram, stomp.tricking, and I hope that y'all have a good day.